best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking the Christmas Songs book tag. This was originally created by Yana from That Artsy Reader Girl. It actually features over on her book blog. She also runs Top 10 Tuesday, which I used to take part in quite a lot back when I was actually blogging. So I haven't really been interacting with her as much as I used to. But when I saw this pop up, I knew that I wanted to take part in it. Yana often puts this in a yearly thing, so she will do it every year, but only focus on the books that she had read in that previous calendar year, whereas I am just going to stretch it out across the entire thing because this is my first time doing it. Let's start with question 1. All I Want for Christmas Is You. Who is your favourite bookish couple? That is, without a doubt, Daff and Danny from Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I love watching the two of these go from friends and people who kind of work together in the same university building to genuinely having a fantastic relationship together. They have such great chemistry together. You can tell that they have been friends for a really long time when you're reading this book. They also get along together super well. They have fantastic bedroom chemistry too. And I just love watching them support each other in their endeavors, be it work or in their personal life. I absolutely love Daff and Danny. I've actually read this book twice in 2023. I read it once in English and I read it once in German. Both of them were such a fantastic visit to my favourite couple. Question 2 is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Name a book where the characters are away from home, be that for school or on vacation. And for this one, I have gone with Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. This is following Molly and Andrew, who have been living in Toronto for about 10 years and met each other while they were out there. And every year on Christmas Eve, they get the same flight home back to Ireland together. Except that this year, things have kind of gone a little bit awry. The flight has been cancelled because there is a huge storm brewing over the North Atlantic. So they have to take a much more complicated route back home to Dublin. It takes them all the way through the Americas. It takes them down to Buenos Aires. They end up flying to Paris and then they come back to Dublin. And they both have specific family reasons that they want to go back home for. Molly's sister is just about to give birth, and Andrew's family haven't seen him for Christmas as much as he would have in the previous years, so he just wants to spend a lot more time with his family than he would have had. As somebody who also lives outside of Ireland and somebody who also flies home to see their family at Christmas time, I connected with this book in a way that I haven't connected with a whole lot of Christmas romances recently. There was just something a bit more personal about this one, but I also love Catherine Walsh as a writer anyway, so I knew that I would have been a safe hands whatever this book was about. Question 3 is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Name your favourite short story, novella, any book that is a little bit shorter than usual. Specifically for this time of year, I'm going to go with A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is one of my favourite novellas of all time. It's one of my favourite classics of all time, and it forms the basis of one of my big Christmas Eve traditions. I like to sit at the couch in my parents' living room with the fire roaring beside me and a blanket and a cup of tea or coffee, and I will listen to or I will read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and then my whole family will come in together. We will have something to eat, we will have more drinks, and we will all watch A Muppet's Christmas Carol. It's one of my favourite things to do every single Christmas Eve. I look forward to it so much. Question 4, Santa Claus is coming to town. What books do you hope to find under the tree this year? I don't have any specific titles in mind, but I do know I would really love to get a special edition of some of my favourite books. I don't hoard books. I'm not a big book collector, but I do feel like if it's a book that I have enjoyed and a book that I will treasure, I'd really like to have a nice copy of it. I know that a couple of months ago, Waterstones did a gorgeous edition of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. One of my friends has it and she is spellbound by it. I know that at the start of 2023, I think it was, Afterlight did a full book box of the 3 books in the Brown Sister trilogy, and I'd love to have gotten my hands on those. I know that Book of the Month over in the US does quite a lot of different versions of books that have come out recently. Unfortunately, because Book of the Month doesn't deliver outside the US, this isn't something that I've ever been able to get to, but there might be other ways to get them. Question 5 is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Which book turned your nose red by making you cry? I don't cry a lot at books. I feel like I have a little bit of a heart of stone in that instance, but something that has always made me cry, whether I am reading the book or whether I am watching the adaptation, is Markus Zusak's The Book Thief. This is following Liesel. It is set in World War II in Germany, and it's actually narrated by Death, who's going through quite a busy phase at the moment, as you might understand. The ending of this book absolutely floors me every single time I read it. I'm never prepared for it. I'm never like, okay, in a couple of pages, this big thing is going to happen. You need to be ready. You need to be prepared. It just hits me every single time that I read it. Question 6 is the most wonderful time of the year. What is your favorite book, book genre, type of book to read during the Christmas period? And for me, that is Christmas romances. I love to just curl up on the couch, blanket, book, coffee, whatever you've got going. But the book is always a Christmas romance. I love to escape into small town romances or like a Hallmark movie, but make it a little bit spicier. I love that kind of festive feeling that you get from these romances. Question 7, We Three Kings. What is your favorite trilogy? I go back to this one time and time and time again. I have always been completely spellbound by the Brown Sister trilogy by Talia Hibbert. I have actually reread 2 of these books more than I have read the other one. I have reread Chloe Brown about 3 times. I've read Dani Brown 3 times, but I'm actually due my second read of At Your Age Eve Brown, and I feel like that's going to be something that I'm going to do in the early stages of 2024. But I love how each of these sisters has a completely distinctive voice, but they feel like a family. Each of these sisters has something different going on in their lives, but you can see the familial ties that keep them going throughout the whole thing. And the other sisters will appear in the other sisters' book, and I just love that connection that they have with each other. Question 8 is Let It Snow. Who is a character you would love to be snowed in with? I feel like myself and Aisling from Oh My God, What a Complete Aisling would get along really well. We could just crack open a bottle of wine, we could put pizza in the oven, and we will sit back and we'll watch like a Friends rerun or a Gilmore Girls rerun. And then halfway through, we'll do a face mask together, do each other's nails, plait each other's hair. I feel like it would be a proper teenage sleepover, but when you're in your 30s. And I feel like that's something that is definitely going to pass the time when you are snowed in. I feel like that is the perfect way to spend an evening when you basically can't go anywhere else. Question 9 is Last Christmas, a book that seriously let you down. And I was so disappointed by Icebreaker from Hannah Grace. I just feel like I had too much of an expectation about this book. This was one that was really heavily hyped up, and I bought into the hype like no idea. I had saved up podcast episodes to listen to for when I had actually read the book. I knew that I wanted to read it in winter time because it was set on an ice rink, so I felt like I needed to be in a kind of a colder environment so that I could read it, which meant that I had gone through the entirety of 2023 thinking this was going to be my book of the year, thinking this was going to be a 5-star read. And I was so disappointed by it. I found the relationship between the 2 main characters was completely unbelievable, and it didn't go in a direction I wanted it to go in. As well as that, something happened in the epilogue of this book that went completely against everything that had been discussed and everything that had been brought up in the earlier stages of this book. Once I got to it, I completely lost faith in this book. Finally, question 10 is White Christmas. What is a upcoming release that you are dreaming about? There are a couple floating around in my mind, and there will be a video in early January where I'm talking about all of the books that I cannot wait to get to in the earlier half of 2024. But the one that stood out to me immediately was Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandria Bellefleur. I have loved every book that I have read from her before. I've always had a really great time with her stuff. And I know that this has got a male and female main character set up, but that both of them are bisexual, and that is a representation that I truly love and value seeing in books. So I am so interested to see where it's going to go. Truly Madly Deeply is also the name of one of my favorite songs of all time. So when I see that happen, when it's like a film that I've really enjoyed, or when it's a song that I really love, and it's also the name of a book, it just kind of draws me in a bit more. Those are my answers to the Christmas songs book tag. What is your favorite Christmas song, or do you have any of these books also on your radar this year? Wherever you are celebrating or however you're celebrating, I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. If you would love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything that you would like to say, then just leave the Christmas tree emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.